the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
1, 2, 8.
Oh my gosh.
14.
Oh my gosh, time is slipping away. Literally slipping away.
Slipping away.
This is that time where you're sad because the clock starts ticking, right? We're inches away from Halloween, and it's almost here, and you go, oh, I want to absorb and soak up every minute of spooky season. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because pretty soon it's turkey season.
Well, but that has its niceness.
I gobble it up. I do.
Yeah, I know you do. You like to gobble. You like the mashed potatoes and the squash.
I love mashed potatoes.
Right?
Do you love mashed potatoes?
Yeah.
My kids don't get into mashed potatoes, and I don't. I'm like, you're not mine.
They're not your kids.
No.
They're not your kids.
Can't be.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You can still love them. You raise them like they are your own, even though they're obviously
son,
some monster.
You don't like mashed potatoes, but I still love you.
I can still find a way.
I can still find a way to love you. Yes.
Yeah, you can do that.
I can.
But I mean, look, Thanksgiving is not. It's not Halloween. That's true.
No, it's not. It doesn't have the same feel.
And it's not Christmas.
No.
And frankly, I gotta believe that if not for the fact that it wasn't sandwiched there, it might even be a forgotten holiday.
Absolutely, it's the middle child of holidays.
Yeah.
It's the guys. I'm here too. But if Thanksgiving was in say February, I think that probably we would be like,
it's just you sit down your turkey.
People come over and eat at my house, but there's no really reason to do. It's
not really a season or a thing. I don't know if it would be a thing. I get people would do it because it's like, well, you get the days off, so I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't be. I don't know. Like I feel like you're so much in a zone of I have to have holidays. I have to have holidays. I have to have holidays.
Yeah,
that. That you celebrate Thanksgiving as if it's a massive holiday, but really it's just eating a turkey.
Yeah, and the thing is think about all the movies, right? First of all, Christmas movies, some of the greatest movies of all time, and we enjoy watching them. And then you got Halloween movies, spooky movies, that's fun.
Yeah.
But all Thanksgiving films usually are families arguing.
Yes.
And then at the end of it being like,
they learn to give thanks.
I guess we can figure out a way to be thankful together. But every Thanksgiving movie ever is about a family kind of not getting along or going through strife.
Yes.
That is what sums up that season.
And Christmas even bleeds into most of the Thanksgiving movies.
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's a wonderful time, and I think it's kind of the world's way of getting you over Halloween.
Yeah, probably.
And warming you up for Christmas.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And that's why it's become synonymous with the consumer shopping holiday, right? It's like you gotta buy things.
Gotta buy them.
Got to go to Black Friday and get in the mosh pit at Walmart and fight over flat screen TVs, which I've never done. Actually, it would be way more fun if they played really heavy metal when you're at Black Friday. Get into this pit. I'm gonna get all the Tickle Me Elmos.
Yes.
But I've never participated in that. I've gone to the late in the day Black Friday where you go like at 3 in the afternoon and it looks like
everything's gone.
It's like a war zone. Like walls are torn down. People have like their hair's all disheveled. Like, can I help you? No, they don't even ask at that point. They're like,
just take the stuff and go.
Just take everything.
Just go.
Just loot.
But this is our last Halloween episode.
This is the last Halloween episode.
So we should do something special.
We should absolutely. Yeah. We should do something special. And actually, we're gonna do something that we've never done before.
What?
We've never done this before.
What?
And here's what's exciting.
I am totally surprised.
And here's what's exciting is that you should be surprised because you demanded it last week.
I'm shocked that something I wanted is happening.
Said this is what we need to do. So Noel and I talked about the idea of telling, a ghost story, and we thought that would be a lot of fun. And one of the stories that came to mind as we were talking about classic Halloween story, a little tale called "The Legend of Sleepy Hollow" by Washington Irving. Exactly. Sleepy Hollow. So right away, post haste, I went on my computer and I looked up the text for The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and it was written densely.
Well, Washington Irving.
Yes, it was written
From a while back.
Yes, it
different
was,
language then.
Yes, it was a good story, but it was just the way that it was phrased. It was like, I think we may, on a podcast, we may lose people if we're trying to read this, and we may lose it because we may be like, I actually don't know what we're talking about here, you know? So
what does he mean by betwixt?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we went to the bookstore and we were like, we need to find the perfect version of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow to read. And of course we found none other than Disney's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by a little golden book.
Do you remember little golden books,
remember
everybody?
These guys, the little golden spine right there.
They're still a thing.
They're still a thing.
Very exciting. When I was a kid, the little golden books were the best.
Oh, absolutely. I had a row of them.
Yeah.
And so it was great because you could look and go, I don't know which golden book I'm about to grab.
You just pull it out and they're
surprise.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
Yes.
I'm reading about Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got one of these and we got the last one in the store, but we have a twist. Do you want to tell them about the twist that we're going to do?
We've decided that since Sleepy Hollow is not an environmental story,
right,
that we should make it one.
Yes.
So the best way to do that is for, at moments throughout the story, Veronica's going to stop us.
Yeah.
And she's going to ask us to improvise.
Yeah.
Basically, to throw in
something.
And then Jacob and I will then continue the story for as long as it's necessary.
As long as necessary.
To add a little more flavor,
je ne sais quoi,
and make this a sustainable story.
We're going to make it a sustainable environment. Yeah, we're going to make it a sustainable environmental story in The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So I think by the end of it,
we will be improvising, by the way. So do not expect greatness, but do expect excellence.
Expect not good, but the best.
It will be the best.
Yeah, this is a yes and episode.
This is going to be. This truly is an experiment. We're not sure if this is going to work or not. And if this is the worst podcast we've ever done, then
hey, we can always say we had that.
We did that. And if it's the best, well, then
we'll do it again.
Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring it back. So I have done us a favor, which is in here as you go through, there's a little Post-it note to mark. That's your stopping line.
That's a stopping point.
So if you have the book in your hand and you're reading, once you get to that Post-it, that last thing that's there.
When Veronica wants to stop us.
That's the moment that Veronica's going to chime in.
Okay.
So do you want me to kick off the first part?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Come on.
Okay. Veronica, are you ready for this adventure?
Ready, yes.
Okay, I have my coffee. You have your water. We have our skull candy.
We have our skull candy. The webs are in the background. The oranges around the biofriendly. Spookiness has ensued. And by the way, feel free to add whatever ambiance you like as I read. If you feel like something's happening and you need to have some crowd noise, you're welcome to. I will do. I'll be crowd noises.
But only if you're led. You have to feel it. With that, I begin. That's perfect. That's the best opening wind I've ever heard. If there's one thing Noel knows how to do, it's... Here we go. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow on the Biofriendly Podcast. Long ago, a new school teacher arrived in the small town of Sleepy Hollow. He was tall and thin, like a scarecrow, with a small head and a pointy nose. His name was Ichabod Crane. Ichabod was a strict teacher. Some people liked him. Others, like Brom Bones, thought he was strange. Brom enjoyed playing tricks on Ichabod, but Ichabod never seemed to mind. Just didn't care. Ichabod was soon invited to a Halloween party. He dressed in his nicest clothes. At the party, Ichabod ate and danced and laughed. He was charming everyone around him.
What else happened at the party?
What was that, Veronica?
What else happened at the party?
Oh my gosh. You can hear somebody calling in. They want to chime in on the story, but no, this is Veronica's time to shine.
Okay.
So what else happened at the party? Well, I mean, it's a Halloween party, right?
It is such a Halloween party.
And at this party...
There's definitely apple popping. bobbing going on.
That's the first thing I thought of.
In the corner, there are 3 ladies.
Yes.
And they're around a wooden cask.
Yeah, what would you...
A barrel.
Yeah, Gertrude.
Gertrude.
Beth. And
Cheyenne.
Yeah, Gertrude, Beth, and Cheyenne.
And they are very pretty ladies, very giggly ladies.
Absolutely, especially Cheyenne.
And they're bobbing for apples that are out in the corner, right? And Ichabod
is just like, wow.
He's like, I can't believe that this is a thing people do.
I can't believe it's so dangerous to dip your face in water and try to grab an apple with your teeth.
And then he wonders, those apples, where do those apples come from? Were they sustainably
Are they sustainable?
grown?
Is this town, to Sleepy Hollow, because he's newly arrived
He was,
town.
yeah, he just
He
got
doesn't
there.
know where these apples come from. So he walks over with his pointy nose and he looks right at Gertrude in the face. He's like, hey.
She's like, woo.
Yeah. And then he's like, sorry, that came off. He's very gentle, very nice man.
He's gentle, yeah.
He's like, hey, sorry, that came out a lot more aggressive than I meant.
Oh, that sometimes happens with environmentalists.
Yeah. And he's like, just real quick, just spitballing here. Where do these apples come from?
Oh, well, I'm really glad you asked. So you should know that our apple orchard is the fairest in all of the land.
Really?
We've had 17 different crone witches come by to pick apples to poison people, and none of them have ever worked because of how wonderfully sustainable and great our apples are.
Oh, this is wonderful to hear because I come from the city, and a lot of ours are like, not grown in the best ways. They overcrop, and it's just not good stuff.
Wow, that sounds completely unreasonable and like it's going for profit and no other purpose. That's grow an apple.
That's why
I'll bet that the witch queens probably really do well with those apples when they try to poison innocent people.
Yeah. There's a lot of, oddly enough, there's a lot of apple poisonings where I come from. I come from the Big Apple.
That sounds exciting.
It is an exciting town, but again, there's a lot of poison everywhere. It's tragic.
I love your pointy nose.
Oh, thank you so much. This is why I moved to Sleepy Hollow, for the babes and the organic apples.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you're cute.
And so Ichabod slow danced with Gertrude as Beth and Cheyenne looked on and kind of thought, oh, I hope he asked me to dance as well.
Yeah, they could be next.
Yeah.
And Brahm didn't like that very much.
Brahm, it's so good that you said that, because I think that's probably where we go next.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, back to, is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your
so
turn.
I go until the next poster.
You pick up there.
You're hearing the side notes as we tell the story.
Yeah.
So it's your turn to do sound effects.
You begin right here.
Okay. At the party, Ichabod ate and danced and laughed, charming everyone around him. It was a perfect night.
Oh, perfect.
Until the host of the party called for his guests to tell scary stories.
Scary story time.
Ichabod did not like scary stories. Brom Bones went first. He was jealous of Ichabod because everyone liked him.
Especially Gertrude.
Brom hoped his tale would frighten the school teacher so much that he would leave Sleepy Hollow forever. His story was about the Headless Horseman, a character who had a flaming pumpkin where his head should be. Every Halloween night, the ghost would ride through town looking for someone to trade heads with.
Give me a red.
He would try to catch any stranger he found in the woods, but he could not cross the covered bridge at the edge of town.
No, it's a bridge. Third bridge.
As Brom told his story, poor Ichabod grew very, very afraid. He was shaking right down to his boots. Those are great. Those sound effects were spot on. I'll just have you know. I'm sorry, where were we?
Did anyone else tell a story?
Yeah,
Yes!
Of course, it's a party. There's bobbing for apples. Brom got up and told the story. You think that that's the last story at the Halloween party? There's definitely going to be somebody who else gets up and tells a story.
Lyman Googdale.
Lyman Googdale.
He told a story, didn't he?
He's the town blacksmith.
Yeah, the town blacksmith.
Yeah, and he got up and he had soot all over his hands, and he got up. He's like, what did he get up and say first?
Oh, the first thing he said was, "Once upon a time,
And everybody was kind of like, they were like, oh, there's another story.
Wow, they're really shocked.
Everybody was kind of thinking that was the last story, that Brom Bones really...
Well, because Brom really told a good one.
He told a good one.
The Headless Horseman thing, they were like, holy wow, what could be scarier than that?
And Lyman is not known for his talking, because he gets in the blacksmith shop and he's just like, bam.
Yeah, Lyman is not a man of very many words.
No, and so he tells this story in the least amount of
in
words.
In the fewest words possible. So
he starts by saying, night.
And that was terrifying.
And everybody felt that energy kind of wash over them. And they're like,
completely.
Oh, wow,
he
really
so scary.
Set the stage.
Yes.
And he's like, Sleepy Hollow. And they're like, that's where we live.
Beth.
That's where Beth.
Beth fell down.
Beth fell down, and they literally were flinging the water from the apple bucket on her face to kind of get her out of it.
Just get her out of it.
And Gertrude is clinging close to Ichabod.
Yeah.
So he's set up already. We've already got the Headless Horseman to worry about in Sleepy Hollow. Right. And now he's saying it's night, it's Sleepy Hollow, and then the next thing he says is snails.
Twin snails.
And that just sends a shudder through everybody in the whole crowd because they know that how important snails are in their woods to keep the environment healthy and strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so
and everyone around is asking questions. Do they have teeth?
Do they have teeth?
No.
Yeah.
Are they large and ferocious?
No. Exactly.
Do they have horns and wings?
And he says, no, snails.
So they're
twin snails.
So it's just two snails that are twins.
Yeah. And
the story continued.
And this is when Lyman went on to say that this twin species of snails are eating away all of the vegetation for the town, and they have to do something to help the crops grow.
But as a man of few words, it was kind of like this.
It was like this.
Snail. Brother snail.
Yeah.
Vegetable holes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it was very scary.
Very scary. And everybody
were
around
frightened. I think a lightning bolt might have cracked at this moment.
And sadly enough, this is the part of the night where Lyman kind of killed the vibe of the party.
He did.
He was like...
Gertrude was thinking for a moment that she might go home with Ichabod, but she was so...
distraught that
she was like, I'm going home with my sister.
Yeah, because snails are like not... sexy.
They lack sex appeal.
Yeah,
Except to other snails.
Yeah, sure.
I think some snails might find other snails.
Yeah, the twin snails probably have some snail ladies that they're like,
sure. But for people at the party, not such. Right. It was a bit of a buzzkill.
It was a buzzkill because this is a party that likes salted foods, and everybody knows that if you're eating salt, you're going to kill the snails. And so they were just like, nobody came to this Halloween party dressed up like snails. There's no dirty looking naughty snail outfits, and so they were like, it's just not the right vibe, Lyman. And Lyman kind of
there's very few sexy snails in Sleepy Hollow. Outfits
in New York's Big Apple. There's tons.
New York's Big Apple. Every lady around every block is wearing the sexy snail outfit for Halloween.
And Ichabod was like, hey,
the whole time
he was feeling it.
Ichabod was sweating for other reasons.
Yes, exactly. And Lyman kind of hung his head in shame. Said, "I'm sorry, I killed the vibe." And Ichabod went up to him and put his hand on his shoulder and said, like, "I liked it." Mother Blurbo. And that's what Lyman said. And then we resume. That's basically, this is where we pick back up.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, right?
My God, twin snails?
Okay.
No teeth, horns, or anything? That's crazy.
Although Ichabod knew the ghost wasn't real of the Headless Horseman, the woods felt dark and scary as he traveled home later that night. He was thinking about the twin snails, too. Like one of the things he was thinking about was the ghost, the Headless Horseman, and the twin snails. He was looking at, like, the crops and stuff. The tree branches looked like hands reaching out to grab him. So freaky. The crickets sounded like they were calling his name.
Ichabod. Ichabod. Ichabod.
That's really hard to pronounce.
Ichabod. Ichabod.
The croaking frogs. Wow, they got my surname in there too.
Douglas, cry.
The croaking frogs. You know my dad?
Ichabod. Ichabod. Tweet. They're tweeting now.
The croaking frogs seem to be saying headless horseman, headless horseman.
Headless horseman.
Wow. Frightened, Ichabod urged his horse to run. He ran as fast as he could. They raced blindly through the dark until they reached a clearing. After they'd stopped to rest, they still heard hoofbeats. Something was coming for them. They hid in fear.
Oh, God.
Veronica, you have something you'd like to say?
Yes.
This is
What other sounds did Ichabod and his horse hear?
Songs.
Oh, no, sounds.
Sounds.
What other sounds?
Yes, sounds.
Yes. What
Well,
other
one song he heard was definitely
Oh, sorry.
Saturday Night Fever.
Yes, and Dust in the Wind.
Yes, both were going crazy in the
Crazy.
background.
It's kind
And
of
he couldn't get them out of his head.
Kind of a random playlist of the night. He was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
one
yeah.
minute he's like Saturday, he's like, and then the
he was
next
hoping
minute,
for more Halloween songs.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was thinking, God, it would be really great if what I was listening to now is Breaking Christmas or, something from Nightmare.
Yes. Yeah, he
Before
wanted some Jack Skellington tunes.
Yeah, exactly. But all he got was,
Yeah.
Saturday Night
Saturday Night Fever
Fever
and Dust in the Wind.
Dust in the Wind. And
which
it's just he was like, that really doesn't fit
No,
the theme.
no.
It's not even that spooky.
Yeah, and one of the things
Yeah.
is he was sitting there and he was thinking, he's hiding in fear,
Yeah.
and he just heard the crickets say his full name.
His full name.
First, last.
And the surname and
It's
the
everything.
fact that he's the third of his,
He's
of
the
his line.
third. And then
Yeah.
he heard the bullfrog saying, Headless Horseman.
Which is pretty specifically crazy.
So specific.
Yeah.
And then it was at that moment that it dawned on him as he was looking at his horse. His horse hadn't said a word.
No,
at
his
this
horse has
point.
been quiet. His horse is pretty scared.
Yeah, pretty scared.
Yeah.
And Ichabod started to wonder, why didn't I hear the snails say anything? Because Lyman had said that
Oh my
these
gosh.
invasive snails were harming the crops. And so he wondered in that moment, if he listened hard enough, would he hear the sound of the snails, eating the vegetation of the land? And would he maybe understand what he had to do? How he could how he could help this situation, these twin snails.
Yeah.
So
So he listened intently, very, very closely, very, just
Ear to the
got
ground.
ever so close to the ground to hear, what is that? What am I, can I hear this thing? And then in the faintest distance, he could hear, "Hey, Clarence!
Yeah, Roger?
Hey, man, I need a little bit of help over here.
Okay, I'm on my way over.
And then I'm trying to eat this leaf, but it's way too big.
I'll get on one side and I'll eat, and you get on the other side and eat.
All right, we can sneak into our backs and then we can go for a walk.
I just wish that someone would help us make sure we're nourished and we wouldn't rely upon the vegetation of the land.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I like that you brought that up because I've been sitting here trying to do my part on the environment, but it's nobody listens to me anymore. It makes me want to kill someone with a really pointy nose and very tall, and who's probably been hit on by a lady named Gertrude wearing kind of a sexy snail outfit at a Halloween party.
That's so specific, but I agree with you.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about it right now, Clarence.
it was at that moment that Ichabod, he could hear them. He couldn't believe, first of all, that the twins, Roger and Clarence, were actually concerned about the environment. They didn't want to destroy it. They wanted to help it. And so all of their actions...
at all what Lyman said.
No, Lyman was saying they were there to destroy the crops and vegetation, and that they were invasive. But this was the moment that Ichabod knew there's no way these guys are invasive. They're just trying to get by. They're a part of the ecosystem.
But for some reason, they want to kill him,
But they do have a murderous heart.
which is odd.
It's probably
they're blaming Ichabod for what Lyman said.
Yeah, I think I agree, and it's probably because they know he's from the Big Apple, and he's one of those
Big city folks.
big city folk who likes poisoning apples.
Oh my goodness!
So
they're blaming him.
They're blaming
even though
him.
it's probably Lyman Simon's fault.
Yeah, and so he's terrified because he's got two things to deal with tonight. He's got the headless horseman that wants to take his head.
Yeah.
He's got these twin snail brothers that have got it all wrong.
All backwards. They don't realize that Ichabod also loves the environment.
Also loves the environment.
Wants to help.
And really needs to find a way to...
I mean, we heard him talking earlier. He's all about sustainability.
He's all about sustainability.
It's clear. It's right here in the book.
It's in the book that he cares about where the apples come from and that nobody's getting poisoned.
That's right.
So he needs to find a way to explain to the twin snails, Roger and Clarence,
yeah.
that he's on their side.
Yes.
And that he believes that they belong and they don't need to kill him.
Yeah.
They get to stay.
But before he gets a chance to do so, the story continued.
Story continued. It did. And it is now Noel's turn.
Okay, it's my turn.
Continue on.
right.
You begin right
Right
over
there.
here. Yeah.
Okay. When Ichabod realized the sound was just some reeds hanging on the hollow tree trunk,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He thinks that's all it was?
no big deal.
Oh.
He and the horse laughed.
That's the first sound we heard from the horse.
Yeah, he hasn't been talking. We established clearly that he hasn't been talking. They felt silly
Oh, so silly.
that they had imagined it was the headless horseman. But just when they were feeling safe, another laugh joined theirs. An evil laugh. An angry laugh. A ghostly laugh. It was the headless horseman. Ichabod and the horse jumped up and ran. The ghost followed them into the woods, down the riverbank, through the water, and across a field.
We gotta ride. Gotta keep riding. Ride.
And that's when something else happened.
So many places to ride through. Did they notice anything strange?
That's interesting. That's a good question. So they're riding through.
Absolutely. There was a tie.
Yeah.
There was a tie that was tied up on one of the tree branches. It was like a tie. Yeah, like
You saw a tie?
it was literally like someone put their tie on a tree branch.
a necktie.
A necktie.
Whoa.
Right on the tree branch.
He noticed that. He was like, we're about to be killed by the headless horseman and snails. And he was getting on, and he was like, I see a tie up there.
Why is there a necktie on a tree branch?
Yeah.
It's so odd.
That is incredibly odd. And he's thinking about this right now. Like while he's riding, he's just rode through streams and a field and he's running far away, but he's like, that tie.
It's kind of affecting his terror a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
'cause
he's trying to be scared.
Yeah, because there was, when he was in college, it was like, when he was back in the big city, if you lived in the city and you had a roommate, you put a tie in your door handle to let him know that you're busy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you're occupied.
Yeah.
And so like if you come home to your roommate and you're like, oh, maybe they're doing something, they don't want me to come in right now.
Right.
You go to the bathroom or they have a date or something like that.
Right.
So you gotta put the tie on the door. So he's thinking to himself, he's like, did somebody put a tie on the tree because they were like, no, don't look.
And you know what's crazy?
What?
Someone did.
They did?
Yeah.
Well, what happened?
So Gertrude
Yeah,
is sitting behind the tree.
what?
Yeah, she's got a little fan. She's waving, and she's like kind of like pursing her lips and looking sideways at Ichabod as he's going by.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, Ichabod.
Hey, Gertrude. What you doing? We're literally like 3 miles away from Sleepy Owl.
I know, because I wanted to get away from my father, because he doesn't like when I wear this sexy snail outfit that I got on right now.
She picked up, he realizes that in that moment, she remembered Ichabod was disappointed that nobody at the party was dressed up like a sexy snail. So she got an outfit, walked 3 miles
Into the woods all by myself in this sexy, innocent outfit.
This took his breath away because she was saying, I really understand you.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. And it was at this moment that he knew that the one person that was going to help him win over the murderous snails was Gertrude.
Because I love the environment.
She loves the environment.
I
and she
just said so about the apple orchard earlier.
Exactly. And it was at this moment that he dismounted his horse. He started making his way towards Gertrude. And he said out loud, Roger, Clarence, get out here right now.
Hold on, this will take me a minute because I don't go very fast. I'm a snail after all, but I'm gonna try. Here I go.
And both Roger
I'm coming.
and Clarence came after him with a violent force. Just so angry. You thought if this was a horror film, there would be the most intense music coming, and they would just be charging full steam ahead.
Yes.
And then you'd zoom back, and you'd see that they're moving literally
very
so slow.
Very slowly. They're still about a mile away.
So it's like dun 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 dun, and they're just like this. And you stand up and you see Ichabod. He's looking down at him, and he's like, I don't have all day. I don't have all day, guys. Sorry. And he points to them, and he goes, "No, it's perfect." And he goes, "You guys, you can see clearly this giant, sexy snail."
I can see the sexy snail from here, yes, even though it's quite far away still, but I have keen eyes. Don't you, Roger?
And he,
Of course it is. She's absolutely gorgeous. That's the most gorgeous snail.
So pretty.
I've ever
I
seen in
can't
my life.
believe how pretty.
so they stop, and this is when Ichabod says his impassioned speech.
There was once a small boy who lived far away in a big city. And he thought that everything was hopeless, that nothing could be done, that we were all going to die in a hellfire of carbon emissions from the wagons. And that the warming that was happening in the atmosphere would kill us all. And that all the food would be turned into nutrientless, horrible waste. And that the world would be covered in plastic. The waters, the soil, the skies ruined, everything destroyed. And then he saw the beauty of a snail that knew what could be done, that we can't give up, that this isn't a world that gets stopped just because people don't agree with you. You have to fight. You have to stand tall. You have to do your best and never give up. So I stand with you, Clarence, and I stand with you, Roger, and together we're gonna both save this planet and have a really exciting night with a girl in a snail costume.
And it was still. The only sound was sobbing of Gertrude in the distance. He was so moved. And it was then that Roger and Clarence truly saw that Ichabod was nothing to fear, that he was an ally, and that he wanted to make sure that they worked in harmony together.
Yeah, I didn't have a good idea.
Hey, great speech, man. Great speech.
And then
something happened.
Gertrude almost was, with the way she was, she was crying. It sounded like she was laughing a little bit.
Well, she's a confused young lady. She's 3 miles from home, behind a tree with a tie and a sexy snail outfit. I don't know if she knows what's
at stake here.
She's kind of like torn between: do I save the planet?
Yeah.
Do I have a cozy evening with Ichabod?
Like, what do I do here?
I think there's a guy with a flaming pumpkin head in the distance.
And as soon as she calls that out, this is what Ichabod, out of nowhere, he jumps on his horse, and they raced away from the headless horseman.
Oh, God.
Because he's coming. He's coming. They just had this amazing moving moment with the snails and Gertrude. Does he take Gertrude with him? Or does he leave her?
Sure.
Okay. So he scoops her up in his arms.
How about the snails?
And the snails, he's like, no, he takes them too.
Takes them too.
He's got two.
They're all on there.
They're all together.
You know what? I remember that now.
Yeah.
That's right. They were all on there together.
He's got a snail on each shoulder.
Yes.
Gertrude on the back on the horse.
Yes.
And it says they raced away from the headless horseman. But the ghost wanted Ichabod's head.
Oh, God.
And it wasn't going to stop until it reached him.
I'm not going to stop until I get your head.
So hell-bent on getting just Ichabod. Finally, Ichabod saw the bridge in the distance. You remember the bridge? He remembered that crossing the bridge meant safety. So he urged his horse to go faster.
Come on, horse, get your...
With a final burst of speed, and the snails held on tight, and so did Gertrude. With a final burst of speed, they made it across. But the headless horseman was not done.
I'm not done.
The ghost heaved its flaming pumpkin head straight at Ichabod Crane. Slow motion. Fade to black. The next morning, only Ichabod's hat and a few pieces of pumpkin were found lying on the ground.
Oh, God.
Yeah. School teacher was never seen again. Some people say that Ichabod left Sleepy Hollow for good, finding happiness in another town. But others say the Headless Horseman took him away.
Oh, no. What do you think happened?
What do you think, Noel?
Thankfully, we actually know.
We actually know what happened. Surprising. The story doesn't
with
end
all
there.
certainty.
Yeah.
We're certain. I mean, well, first of all,
Yeah.
Let's go from when the pumpkin was thrown.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's
Slow-mo pumpkin.
slow motion.
Ichabod has got two snails, one on this shoulder, one on this shoulder.
And then Gertrude behind him.
Gertrude behind him. They are a force to be reckoned with. Are you
Yes.
kidding me?
Yes.
You think that at this point, Ichabod's looking at this flaming pumpkin coming at him, and he's just like, oh no, they've united. They're together.
They have snail power.
They have snail power. And that's
Yes.
exactly what they say.
In fact, that's the. Do you remember the moment?
I remember the moment.
When
They say
Clarence was like,
I think it's time to do the snail power trick.
snail power. And in unison, all four of them shout,
Snail power!
and with that, the pumpkin explodes midair. Just bursts before it can even get to Ichabod.
Yes.
It explodes everywhere.
and slime from the snails puts out the fire.
Puts out the fire, goes out, and actually
They do get quite a lot of pumpkin though on them, which is
yeah.
a little bit unfortunate.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there's a lot, and Gertrude was not happy about that.
not
And
happy
actually
because the snail costume was a rental.
This was a really expensive snail costume, and
She-
it cost quite a lot of. I was trying to be very sexy.
There was a
And now I'm
deposit.
all covered in pumpkin.
She's going to lose her deposit on her snail costume that she's got to return the next morning.
That's going to cost me $12.06.
It was not that expensive in Sleepy Hollow.
Well, but this is the
it's
a
the
long
old-
time ago.
olden,
So,
yeah, long time ago.
$12 back then is like 14, 15 bucks.
So the Headless Horseman's head explodes and goes everywhere, and they're looking, he's stunned because he doesn't have a way to express that he's stunned. But you
No.
can see in his body language that he's like, oh.
Yeah, he definitely tall, thin, but his elbows and shoulders kind of went up and down.
Yeah, like kind
Sort
of
of
he's
up and
watching from the other side of the bridge, a place that he can't cross. He's always like,
yeah.
I'm bridge,
yeah.
But he was really banking on like, I'm gonna just
like,
I'm gonna LeBron this bad boy.
Yeah, I threw that really hard.
and I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna
made a fire.
take him out. Yeah, made a fire, and it went out, and he wasn't aware of snail power.
No.
He didn't know.
No, he didn't think that people cared about the environment anymore.
No, and this was a moment. This was a real turning point moment for the Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, maybe I've been using the agriculture and the nature around me, like the pumpkin, for nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
I've been lighting them on fire, which is wasteful.
Yeah, and throwing them at
And
people.
throwing them at
now
people.
look at me. I don't have a head.
I don't have a head, and they have friendship.
I think that's the moral of the story.
I love.
That's the moral of the story, and I think if we can't get to the bottom of that, like, look, if you keep treating the environment this way, you'll end up without a head, and without friendship.
In love, as Veronica added.
love.
She said love. Yeah,
And love.
and love.
But you know what's beautiful though?
What?
Is that snail power is greater
Yeah,
than hate.
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
And so those two snails and Gertrude and Ichabod are heroes. The classic four heroes of Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. Yeah. The classic four.
They turned back to the Headless Horseman, and they forgave him.
They forgave him. And and you know what they said?
What'd they say? What'd they say, Jacob?
They said, come across this bridge. Get over here.
You can do it.
And he's like,
It's a curse. I'll die.
but you know what? He'd never been invited before. And for some reason, the music began to swell. And the horse's hoof stepped across the bridge. And he couldn't believe it. He would express how emotional he was at the time, but he couldn't show any expression on his face. But you could see in his body, he was shocked that he was getting across the bridge. He had never been invited. And he made it across the bridge. And they hugged. And it was at that moment that he looked at Gertrude and the snails.
Yeah.
And he said, we've done a lot of work here today in Sleepy Hollow.
We've done a lot.
But I come from a city known as the Big Apple, and it could use our help. And I don't think our service ends here today. I think that we load up our bags tonight. We leave no evidence of what happened left after this. We leave that pumpkin on the ground and my hat.
But isn't that evidence if we leave the pumpkin? And the hat
that
on
is evidence. I'm sorry. We leave some evidence that makes it look like maybe the headless horseman killed me.
That's a good idea because my father would never let me leave the city if he thought that I was alive.
Exactly.
If he sees that there's a bunch of stuff on the ground, then maybe he'll think I died.
And you'll be free.
And I could go with you to the big city where I've always wanted to be an actress.
You need to come with me right now, and that goes for you too, headless horseman. Yeah, but we're gonna need to travel incognito, so I need to give you a different name. If we're gonna get on a horse carriage, and we're gonna be like, it's gonna be me, my friend Sarah, and these two companions that are named Bob and Robert.
Dang, man, because if they knew that I was Roger and he was Clarence, we'd get caught
Exactly.
by the police because we're outlaws.
Exactly. Lyman has been spreading a lot of lies about him.
That's right.
So, but then it came the point where they had to name the Headless Horseman.
They did.
And they wanted him to feel a sense of ownership to it. So they looked at him and they said, what should we call you? And the Headless Horseman signed with his hands.
Yeah, because remember, he was laughing and all, but he still doesn't have a head.
Yeah, but it's all in a body language. You can just see
body language. You can feel the laugh more than see the laugh.
You can see the shoulders bouncing because he's laughing.
Yeah, that's right.
But he signs with his hands and he spells out the name
Willamette.
He'd always felt more like a Willamette. And it was at that moment that they knew that they were the Snail Power team. And the Snail Power team would do amazing things in New York. And that, my friends.
Yeah. One quick question, though.
Sure.
When the Headless Horseman arrives to New York, or Willamette now.
Yeah, Willamette. Yeah,
obviously.
please refer to.
I was trying to remember because I used to know, but I forgot. They replaced his head with something unusual.
They did.
And I can't quite. Do you remember what they replaced his head with so that he could survive in New York?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a New York hot dog.
Willamette had a New York hot dog head. A lot of people don't know this, but that is what the Headless Horseman.
A lot of people don't know.
And at that point, the Headless Horseman was so satisfied with the hot dog head that he really didn't feel like a Headless Horseman anymore.
No.
Now he truly felt like Willamette.
No, Willamette, and ended up working.
And they got a marker, and they drew eyes.
And became a mascot for a popular sports franchise.
Yeah, the New York Mets.
The New York Mets. And a lot of people don't know that's the origin of the Willamette, the hot dog head.
Yeah.
Willamette, the hot dog head.
Willamette, the hot dog head, very famous, original, the first. Yeah, but not the Mets that came back in the 60s.
No.
This is the original Mets.
This is the original, the old
from before.
School. This is
They've
back.
since replaced with that baseball-headed guy, which is like a callback to Headless Horseman and all that. So that's how you know it's true. The story is absolutely true. Everything was said is 100% factual.
They have stricken this from the history books because it's just such a controversial tale.
It's controversial, but he had a hot dog head for sure.
Yes.
With marker.
Yes.
To represent that.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the powerful and moving Halloween tale known as The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, Willamette the Hot Dog Head, and Snail Power.
The end.
I'm
so glad we told that story. Finally, the full story. A lot of people think that there's a lot less to it.
Yeah.
But there's if you tell the full story, you really get more out of it.
Yeah.
I think than it was in the original version.
Yeah, Veronica, I got to ask you as a just a general gut instinct as to how this went. How do you think it went?
That went amazing, guys.
It was good?
It was good. It was great. I loved it.
I feel like I found a new story that I would like to read to my children every night.
Yeah.
Before they go to bed, I'm going to say, and they're going to
the true story
of
Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, the true story of Sleepy Hollow, and I'm going to say, and they're going to go, but Dad, it's Christmas. I'm going to go, I don't care.
I don't care. This is my birthday. I don't want to be scared.
Yeah, I don't care. You're going to hear it again.
Hear the story.
Dad, I'm 28. Anyway, but that was a very powerful story.
What do you think? We do it again for Christmas or what?
I think we should.
Yeah?
I think we should. I think that
We'll find a Christmas classic.
story that we add a little environmental touch to it. I think we got it, and that was so clearly environmental. Obviously,
Right.
I mean, we helped the planet.
we
don't
helped
you
the
think?
planet.
Right.
You,
Ichabod's
it's-
speech, right? It was,
Oh yeah,
that doesn't inspire people.
I mean, come on.
No, it's
It was so good, so
and the
good.
music in the background. I can't believe this thing was scored.
I can't believe it was scored, and I can't believe they. It's funny because a lot of people think of that as the graduation theme, like
Yeah,
when somebody graduates
sure.
at a university. But this was long before.
No,
this
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
before universities.
Oh, yes,
that was
yeah.
the piece of music that played there. then.
Yes, there then. That's right. No, it's a lot of stuff that has been stolen
Yeah.
from that original story since.
yeah.
Which will get proven over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we unveil.
As we unveil and reveal to the world this true story.
That's 100% right.
But I want to thank everybody for joining us today for the Halloween special, which is kind of like, The Simpsons have their Halloween special. Garfield has their Halloween special. We now have a Halloween special.
We do.
And you can look forward to this next year and possibly have a Christmas special as well where we do this. So
If you guys like it, let us know in the
yes,
comments.
Comments
and
on
then,
our posts. We're going to be sharing the clips and the videos. It's going to be everywhere on our social medias. So share it. Tell everybody you go, this is the greatest ghost story I've ever heard in my life. And the word needs to get out there. And people need to know about Willamette the hot dog head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Snail Power.
And Clarence and Roger.
And
Snail Power and
Gertrude.
Gertrude.
Yeah.
Oh, look, none of this happens without Gertrude.
None of it
She's
happens.
the lost unsung hero.
Yes.
I mean, I think a lot of people thought it was just a headless horseman and Ichabod Crane. They didn't realize that it's actually Willamette.
No.
Yeah.
Tim Burton, if you'd like to do a redo on your
yeah.
feature film,
Yeah.
we're standing by.
We're standing by. We will ask for financial.
Yes, we royalties.
Yeah.
So
But we'll use it to help the planet.
yeah,
Yeah.
as long as I mean the money.
Mostly, I also want some pizza.
Yeah. Pizza sounds good.
Yeah, but
Sounds good. Let's
maybe
have some pizza.
Have some pizza. And then the rest we can use for the environment.
Deal.
Yeah. Maybe a boat.
Okay, pizza and a boat. That's
Pizza,
all we ask.
and that's all we ask. Pizza and a boat.
That's it.
And then we're done.
And then we're
the
done.
rest goes to the environment.
And then
the
we're
rest
done.
goes to the environment.
And
maybe a house.
A house, and a rocket, and some candy.
And candy. Yeah, we definitely need candy to put in the rocket.
And a poodle.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. And friends.
And friends.
We'd like to pay for friends.
We have been your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Jacob's brain is constantly rebuilding itself.
Don't be environmentally gimmicky.
This guy's got bubbles.
And featuring Todd Watersocks.
Take the W and get on with it.
I'm gonna get there. Just give me a word.
I've forgotten mine too.
We assume on this show.
Never stop stopping. Oh, window.
It's the ghost. No, it's the ghost.
ghost.
It's the ghost.
R.
Ghosts are.
Ghosts are sexy.
That's it.
They are sexy.
They are.
I keep looking at these sexy ghosts in the mirror. Actually, what it is I still find them terrifying.
Yeah,
And
that's
so I
the
think
thing is you got to get
I
over
see
it.
the ghost and I go like, it's just too
You gotta get
scary.
over it, yeah.
Yeah.
Veronica, is there anything else you have to say?
Have a spooky time.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.